Hey, this is Wendy at the San Diego Science and Education Channel. And I want to talk about supplementing your child's education. Look, no school is perfect, and parents need to be on the ball to supplement where their child's school has gaps. No parent should expect their child's entire educational experience to be met completely through the school. And I think we know that. So, for example, your school may be very structured, but it may not offer opportunities for projects to apply the knowledge that they're learning. And maybe your child goes to a school with a more project-based learning program, but doesn't receive many of the elements that children at more structured schools get that you feel are really important for them to learn, like multiplication speed tests and learning the 50 states and capitals, learning word sentence structure like nouns, verbs, or learning cursive handwriting. To me, these are fundamental skills, and I found myself very surprised and baffled to learn that my children, who are at project-based schools, weren't learning these things. So it's good to be aware of the strengths and limitations of your child's curriculum so that you can fill in the gaps to make your child a more engaged learner and to keep them up to par with the kids learning at schools with another emphasis. And so in this video, I'm going to focus on resources to meet the needs of children not receiving some of the more structured elements that many parents may find important, but that aren't being taught as consistently today as in the past. Even more structured schools may not be covering some of these things. So it's good to find out, and if you feel that your child should know some of these things, then I'm here to help you out with some resources on how to make sure that they can learn this. For those of you looking for projects to give your children the opportunity to engage in hands-on projects with the information that their children are learning at a more structured school, fear not. I have videos of different events going on in the city and different projects that you can participate in. And I've already made one of those, like the Pi Day video I made. And I've got more project videos coming as well. So I'm here to help you guys too. But this particular one, I'm going to be covering resources for certain things that many schools are not covering. So to get back to that, the ideas I wanted to focus on this time were the 50 states and capitals, multiplication facts, handwriting, including cursive, grammar, nouns, verbs, subjects, objects, run-on sentences, etc. These kinds of basic grammar things. These are topics that are often not being taught in schools today, but I see these as foundational, and maybe you do too. And if you do, then here's some resources for you. Now, a couple subjects that people do often want their children to know, but that aren't being covered by the schools, like religion. Religion is a common one that most public schools won't be covering, but I also won't be covering that because, well, every religion is different, and there are lots of religious communities out there that can much better meet your needs than I can. So I'm not going to be dealing with that particular topic. There's much better institutions you can go to for information on those. What I really want to mention sex ed, which is super important for you to talk to your children regularly about. But when I started researching that, well, it'll have to be its own episode or two. There's just too much to cover, and I don't want to shortchange the subject because it's very important. So that'll be a future video. But let's get to resources right here. Resources, that's books that parents can get to supplement their child's math or language arts. I'll jump into that right now. The first one I want to mention is the Singapore Math. Singapore has one of the most successful math education programs in the world. Students in this city often test within the highest percentiles on math tests in comparison with all other countries. And from this celebrated math education curriculum is the Singapore Math Series books. They usually cost between $4 and $13 on Amazon, so they're pretty reasonably priced. I would suggest that you review the pages before assigning them to your child so that you can answer questions that your child may have and just be up on the subject when they come to you asking questions. Also, I personally would recommend the mental math books they have. My youngest has a special fondness for mental math, and he has gone through these books rather enthusiastically. So there's a ringing endorsement of the mental math books in this series. Now he does mental math better than I do, and I'm the one running through the work with him, and he's correcting me on it. So they do a good job. They teach very well. And so yeah, you should definitely check them out. I'll have a link in the description for you for the Singapore math books. For language arts, you have a spectrum of choices. There's lots of different options. But after trying a few, I favor the Spectrum series books. Their covering of grammar is very direct and well explained to answer the question of why you need to know this. And also, they're reasonably priced as well, between $7 and $13 a book. I'll have links in the description for you, the language arts books. But they also have writing and vocabulary and all kinds of things. So they're definitely worth checking out. And my son's skills got a lot better in those subjects when we were using those books. So I recommend them, and I'll have a link in the description. The next one I want to mention is actually not something you can get on Amazon. So it's a separate link. Now, this is actually from the AOPS Academy, which is the Art of Problem Solving Academy. This is a supplemental curricula program that is really devoted to readying children at the middle and high school levels for academic competitions and tests. And so they're really working on trying to get the high level kids, pushing them into more elite, getting your above average kids and pushing them up towards elite, so that they can actually do these big competitions like the Math Olympiad, Science Olympiad, all these kinds of big competitions. But they also have resources for younger students, and their Beast Academy books are stellar. These are set up like graphic novels or comic books. They illustrate concepts in language arts or math in a very visual way. And then they move the kids to workbooks with problems starring the Beast Academy characters. My youngest finds these very engrossing and even reads these for fun, which reading a math textbook for fun, this is quite the endorsement. You should check it out. Children seem to really love these books, and they're very engaging. So I've got a link below for you to check them out. They're definitely worth your time. For teaching cursive, I recommend the Handwriting Without Tears books. I also recommend going up a grade unless your child is struggling with this, because the books tend to be very basic. The 5th grade and above level book worked wonderfully for my youngest when he was in 2nd grade. The same exercises were in there as the earlier books, but with much more engaging information to write about in the practice sections in the pages. So yeah, I would definitely recommend these books. I will also have a link below in the description for you to check out the Handwriting Without Tears books, so you can teach your kid cursive handwriting. They also have regular handwriting if your child is struggling with that as well. Now, for teaching aids that don't really require a separate book, like something specific like multiplication tests and other arithmetic, you really only need a good website. And the website I recommend is mathaids.com. I've got the link below for you. This site allows you to choose what kind of problems you want, how many problems you want, in what format, and what number ranges you want to include. Like a multiplication speed test with 60 problems in a page and all of them in the 6s. So you can enter that information, and then the site will generate your worksheet and an answer sheet instantly for you to print for free. This site is the best for supplementing very specific portions of your child's math curriculum, or even just giving them extra practice before that test. So that site is coming very useful for me. I used to live on it. It's a great site. You should check it out if you need it. And for the last big project that I want to mention here, for teaching the 50 states and the capitals. First, we had to get past the question of, why do I need to know this? And honestly, I can see how without context, knowing the capitals of the states that you don't even live in may seem unnecessary. But my younger kids didn't seem to know the difference between a city, a state, and a country, much less which city, state, and country was theirs. This blew my mind. And as I explained the difference, it occurred to me how really important it is for kids to know what city they live in, where that is, what state they live in, where that is, and what country on this wonderful planet it is we live in. So truly, learning the states and the capitals forces children to learn about their country and tidbits about what's in it. This is it's a basic bit of information to build on. It's a foundation to build on. So learning this has brought my children a sense of context, knowing where they live and what all is included within the larger national community that we're a part of. We tried some online games to get this started, but honestly, my kids didn't seem to remember the information after spending time on a video game for it. So we went low-tech. We used a map of the U.S. as a reference, made flashcards with the states and capitals on just index cards, and we used a printable worksheet for the kids to fill in as a test sheet. I'll have the link for the worksheet below. And then we set up a system to reward them for passing the test, which worked better than we expected, actually. One tip I have is using the older siblings, if you have them, to teach the younger ones. Then you make sure to incentivize both the children. I found our younger children responded much more positively to the older siblings than to mom trying to initiate study time. A link for the printable test is included below. You should definitely check this out. And I found myself very surprised at how quickly the kids actually learned this and how enthusiastically they were in preparing for this, since the older siblings were involved. And so that project actually worked out very well. In the future, I'll make some videos of simple projects to expose kids to poetry and writing exercises that you can try with your kids. Exercises to expand vocabulary and language use that can be done regularly in small amounts of time. They're surprisingly useful and actually pretty fun. I've tried a few already with great results. I'll get a video up about it so you could try these things too. And also, I have a video coming up with resources for parents for discussing sex ed with their children. What are some other subjects that your child's school isn't covering but that you feel are important? Mention it in the comments, and I'll try to include resources for that in another episode. If you've heard something that you thought was useful, please remember to like this episode. And if you want to see more episodes without missing anything, be sure to subscribe. Remember to always be active learners, and thanks for watching.